Steve's attorneys were very helpful.
Excellent. Yeah, so were you gonna head over to the
Indigent defense.
indigent defense? Yeah,
Yes,
good.
and I figured I'd meet here. Sam is gonna go in my place to start with. I think it'd be good for a couple of us to be there. And then
Yep.
I'll head over once business is done here. I want to check that out as well.
Great, great. All right, it's that time, so we'll call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll do roll call.
Mochler,
Here.
Graylobe,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Easy,
Here.
Hammond.
Here.
Okay, are there any conflicts of interest to declare? Hearing none. Let's see, we should approve the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
It's a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
It's a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any visitors to be heard? Anybody online? Okay, hearing none, then I'll introduce our intern from the Masters in Public Administration program. Vima, why don't you give yourself a little introduction and then she's going to talk about the work plan, which she wants input from us on, right? So she's devised some areas to look at, but I think she would like input from all the commissioners.
Okay, thank you. I hope it's on.
It's always.
It's on, it's always on, yeah. You're good.
Thank you. My name is Vima Ejewa. I'm an international student from Ghana in Africa. So I moved to US here to come and pursue my master's degree in public administration. So I just completed my first year of study this spring. So yes. And this summer, I'm here to do my internship in Clay County. So I had some copies printed out, but unfortunately, the corrections that I made didn't appear. So I don't know.
Okay, well, I think you could easily just talk about what you're,
Okay.
yeah, because it's not a long.
So for the project that I'm assigned to, that I'll be working with Dr. Betty is benchmarking. And so the main aim for the project is to identify and then evaluate Clay County's performance in key areas, and then to compare it to 10 other counties, and then to make recommendations for improvement. So with your approval, the plan is to collect comparison data from similar counties and then reliable national database in areas of concern and of interest to the county. And also I would meet with department head to ask them, find out what they are also interested in knowing about other counties. I would be interested in knowing what they are doing as department, because I'm quite new to the whole system here. And so the final product will be a written report for commissioners. So with the help of Dr. Betty and with some discussions, I have about 6 or 10, I think 6 to 7 areas that I think we can look at. So we have employee salaries, we have effective tax rates, we have quality of life, average cost of road maintenance per mile. We have parks and senior services, incarceration and diversion rates. We have poverty indication, health outcomes, and funding sources. So these are the areas that we are looking at. And then finally, I have 10 proposed counties. So these counties that I selected it purposely due to proximity and then similarities to Clay County. So I have Yankton County, I have Union, I have Sioux, which is in Iowa, I have Dakota, which is in Nebraska, Cedar, which is also in Nebraska, I have Turner, I have Claymont, I have Hutchinson. Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, so one question I think we need to look at is, are those the right counties? Anybody have a county that Vima didn't mention that, you know, they think would be particularly useful as a basis of comparison?
Interested in Brookings and Davison County. Davison County wasn't really on my radar until the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners meeting, and at several times we sat down at tables and they were just had a lot of similar issues that they were wrestling with. And I think, you know, we always want to compare ourselves to Brookings County, don't we? No, it's because we're so much better.
Yeah, because Brookings is another university county.
yes,
and
we're
so
serious.
they have some similarities there. So in terms of the other counties, I was thinking Turner maybe.
She has.
Yeah, well, no, I was thinking that maybe Turner, we might want to mark off the list in part because they're so much smaller. You know, in terms of population, that they might not be.
I think.
What do you think?
Comparable though.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
it's a good one to keep.
Okay. Okay, and I'm trying to make it doable also for Vima. So,
I'm less familiar with the out-of-state counties. What were some of the criteria that made those ones lifted those ones up for you as well?
Aside it being closer to this county, I think they have well, their population, they have quite similar population to Clay County. So I think these were the two main reasons that made me look at it.
So proximity and a similar population.
Yeah.
Excuse me, it's Lane, if you can hear me.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Could I suggest maybe Lake County as well, which is Madison? That's very, very similar to Clay. Also,
Lake,
Yeah.
Lake County.
I think Lake's a good choice.
Mhm.
And as far as the Nebraska and those counties, those are very similar as well. I work with all of them pretty regularly, so they fit right in line also.
okay.
Thank you.
Any counties that we could cross off that I don't know if people would like Vima to read them again, but any counties that you think might be less useful?
Hutchinson, if you're gonna cross somebody off.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like the out-of-state ones just to get a different perspective.
Yeah, it's a good perspective. You end up with, you know, every county is kind of a child of that state's state law. And so there's going to be some differences, but that doesn't necessarily, that may just mean that we have more to learn from those. Which were the Iowa counties?
So
Sioux's a good choice, I think.
And then Claymont.
Plymouth, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
I partially grew up in Plymouth County, so.
all right. And then in terms of questions that we have that might be useful for Vima to look at. In addition, I mean, one of the things you said in your conversation about about visiting county courthouses was that there was one particularly impressive veteran services program.
Well, there were two that were pretty strong in that. One was, there's an older guy in Turner County. And he actually gave me a number of publications that they have that I shared with Drew yesterday. Like, it was a busy day yesterday, but he happened to drive by my house. I flagged him down. And so we visited a little bit about that. And he's an older guy nearing retirement, so there's a lot to be learned that will be lost once he retires if we don't lean on him a little bit. It was Cottington County. One entire floor of their courthouse was paid for by the American Legion. Because in 1927, when that building was being constructed, they ran short on money. And of course, being something like 8 years after World War I, the Legion was particularly strong then. And in exchange for perpetual lease on part of the third floor, that courthouse, they paid for it.
Wow.
It was something like a quarter of the entire cost of the courthouse.
So what's on their third floor?
Mainly American Legion. But if there are other offices there too, and I would have to go back to my pictures and notes to figure that out, but
Interesting.
yeah, it was a interesting quasi-public cooperation to build that whole courthouse, which was kind of an interesting thought.
Very interesting. Wasn't it Vermillion's first courthouse was built by the community, I think.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, there's some, and the beginning of USD was built by the community too. Little local history there. So any thoughts about, and you know, if you have a thought this coming week, you could send it directly to Vima or to me, and I'll send it to Vima. You know, because what she wants to make sure that we're getting our questions answered. And, you know, we came up with questions that we thought were, you know, of interest and might help us. But if you come up with other questions, she'd like to hear them. But it would probably have to be in the next week or so, because, you know, her time is limited, and she spent a good deal of time, you know, reading the county commissioner's manual and getting ready for the project. Yeah.
If
So-
we're doing something in terms of comparing to other counties. One thing, budget's coming up. And I wonder, we could maybe see how other counties are doing some of the able to, and which types of activities outside of the mandated that
Yeah.
they're funding and how.
Yep.
Just to have a look, you know, not to say that we're in a position where we can go ahead with reinstating much of that sort of funding, but it should be interesting to see what types of things parallel counties might be interested in funding.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And one of the things that Vima noticed, you know, her first week here was the difference in websites and how, you know, some websites were set up so that there was a huge amount of information available to her and to other citizens. And in other counties, you know, she's really having to dig to find anything. And so, you know, even website comparisons, I think are really interesting. And that might help us to, you know, structure, you know, to better structure our own in a more helpful way to citizens.
Yeah, that really depends on local resources
Yep.
available.
Yeah.
On communication with the public, something I saw was kind of interesting in Cottington County is that they allow, what they do is They have the Pledge of Allegiance first, and then a call for public comment. It can be submitted in person or over telephone. And they got 2 numbers to call. And then they have the public comments at the end of their meeting. They close with that. So they give folks a chance to listen to the proceedings. And if there's comments, I guess we've already done our anything that we're gonna act upon, but at least we get some
Feedback.
post-loop feedback on that. But it'd be an interesting way to do it. And then it's at the end, it's public comments and then commission comments.
Interesting.
So we get a rebuttal.
We get a rebuttal, yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I've thought would be interesting to add to our agenda every week, and I'd love to know what you think is this. We all have assignments outside of regular commission meetings, and I think most people don't realize how hard people work outside of meetings. And it would be interesting to add to the agenda a sort of commissioner report. If you've gone out and seen a problem, if you've, if I've gone to a CCOG meeting and learned something useful, if you've gone to the law enforcement, one of the law enforcement meetings, Dick, that you go to, Dave, it might be interesting. So, we would have weeks where just like visitors should be heard, nobody says anything, but it might prompt also some interesting discussion. So that might be a useful addition. Okay, well, if there are no other comments for Rima, thank you.
Thank you.
She's worked incredibly hard to get to where she is now, because she had a lot of learning to do, but and she'll be meeting with department heads in the coming weeks and drilling down into databases. We've already found some really fantastic comparative county databases that allow us to compare ourselves on things like health outcomes and quality of life. And so thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
All right, so now we've got a public bid opening. Always so exciting. And let's see, looks like this is from Boyer Trucks, Sioux Falls. Is this the only bid we got, Rod?
Apparently, they don't come to me, they come to you.
Okay.
That is the only one we received.
Never a good sign. I know it's been hard for them to get trucks.
We kind of figured that when we put it out,
Yep.
that it was only gonna be
Yeah.
from talking to all the other dealers.
You know. Pricing it, then. A huge proposal. Lots of specifications. I'm looking for a bottom line. Okay, here's the total. $70,475. Delivered to Sioux Falls. So I'll let you take a look at it and make sure it's responsive, and then we'll have to make a decision.
We do that next meeting?
Yep.
Is that just a chassis rod?
Yeah.
Really?
It's, we're living in interesting times.
When you get up into those, it's hard to get a box put on. Which makes no sense to me.
I didn't know. it was flatbed.
Well, we're gonna put a flatbed on it, but
Right. And then we've got a driveway application for Meckling Road from Tracy Larson.
just on the south edge of town, they want to put a driveway in south of their house so they can access. We got, used to be a yard to have horses in there now. And I don't have a problem with it. They had to put a culvert in. Though, because there's a culvert that goes under the road. So we needed to have a culvert. They agreed on that, so. I recommend you approve it.
So moved. Second.
Oh, I'll second it. Is this a new one, a new driveway they're
Yeah.
putting in?
Yeah.
So you're gonna make sure it's in the bottom of the ditch?
Yeah, Larry and I already met with the lady and. Sounded like they were hiring somebody to put it in, but yeah, we'll be.
All right, so there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I just had one other thing. Butler contacted me about. If we'd be interested in trading in this blade on a new blade. That would keep me from having to put it on auction or take sealed bids, but they haven't given me a price. Yet, is that something we'd entertain, or it won't affect our source well? It won't affect nothing except for we'll get a little off that $466,000 bill with all the stuff. Last time we did this, we put it on Gerard's sale and Gerard's had to kick in part of their selling whatever you call it, commission to get us up to the same to the price. So I'm kind of curious to see. But apparently there's a shortage. I don't know. They've never asked. They usually don't want trade-ins, so I just wondered, is that something you think we should look into, or just tell them no one will sell it, or,
It's not gonna hurt to have them price it.
have
They'll
them
have to take
see
it.
what it's worth?
Yeah, that'll give us a trade price.
Mhm.
That's what was that, 2012?
Well,
Yeah. And it's the same size.
yeah, it's a 140, or to see what we're buying as a 150. Because they switched the numbers.
Yeah, it's the same
A
chassis.
140 now has a steering wheel in it like the old ones did, and 150 has the joysticks, and we stuck with the joysticks.
It went back to a steering.
Yeah,
wheel?
because John Deere was beating them up pretty bad, I guess, they've had the option both ways for quite a while.
Yeah,
Why they had to change the number, but I
It-
just was curious if that sounded something I should be checking into, or they just contacted me yesterday, or I'd had it on here, but
Yeah. it's certainly worth it to find out whether they can meet the price we would most probably get.
I thought it would be, the last time they appraised one. That's pretty much what it ended up bringing, what Gerard's helping us out, so they were fairly close. I did have a couple counties inquire about it. So I guess we could see what they give us for trade-in, and maybe we could put it out for sealed bids too, I don't know. Whatever,
Ask them what they're willing to pay.
the
Those-
counties,
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that getting a trade-in cost would give us a better idea of entertaining purchases from other counties. That should be the next best deal for us, would be other counties.
I think they're gonna come in low, but
Yeah,
it's only one way.
well,
to
they
find
normally
out.
do.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They
the
figure-
appraisal is a little better. Oh, because they're not asking to buy it, they're just saying what the market is, now they want it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
so we'll see where it shows, I think it's. Around that $80,000 mark, maybe more, I guess, I haven't looked to see what the market is lately, but. We'll see,
You
but
think-
I'll tell them to go ahead and do that, and we'll,
You'd think with selling to another county, we should get 10 to 20% more than what that trade-in cost. would be.
yeah, except for
At
they'll wait
least.
and get the discount from. That's the only thing
Yeah.
I don't like about buying from another county is you don't get, even on used, you can get that source with. Discount on used vehicles, so,
Yeah,
and what, I don't know how they figure that out, but. But anyway, I just wanted to know if that's something we should check into, or. I thought it'd be worth a look anyway.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
Seems like a good idea.
Okay,
All right,
that's all I have.
all right. Thanks, Rod.
I'll
I appreciate
stick
it.
around for the. Wimps thing, or
oh,
Is that on
did
the,
you already have a date set, or
Yeah, it's supposed to be tomorrow night at 6.
Tomorrow night at 6?
Yep.
You gonna go?
I am. I'll be
Okay.
there.
And
Yeah.
Dick, are you gonna go?
I think so.
Okay. well,
Larry
that-
can make
that
it.
We've, yeah, I mean, you're probably the two most experienced people
Yeah,
on
I'd
the,
have to hustle back from Sioux Falls, but I think.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
time?
6.
6 o'clock?
I gotta pick up my grandson for a ball game at 5, so I won't make it back. But Larry will be there.
all right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Rod. All right, Scott. Lead and asbestos.
Okay.
The bids were crazy.
What's that?
The bids were,
Yeah, kind of
Like-
whacked out, weren't they?
yeah.
So, yeah, you got that information in front of you, obviously.
Mhm.
Horsley and VCI, Horsley's out of Rapid. VCI is out of the Twin Cities, so,
Yeah.
you know, they're not sending anybody to look at the site, they're just shooting, throwing out a number. ESA, we got offices all over the United States, and I think they even have, North Sioux office.
Oh.
So they actually sent a man on site, to look things over. And I walk them through and explain it to them, and the blueprints and all this and that, so they're fully aware of what's going on. So, and I talked to Evan, the project manager from L&L. About them, because that's who I got their number from, was L&L. And Evan says he's worked with them in the past, they're very reputable, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think we'd have any problem going with them. I like the fact that their time frame fits right in, June, July, after hours. So it all kind of comes together nicely.
So it looks, and in the contract I saw, that it said within working hours. Did I get that wrong?
I'm misreading it.
Did I get that wrong? Or maybe you're looking at something I'm not looking at. Under assumptions. Work to be performed. Oh, I'm sorry, after. You're right.
Yeah.
It's after business hours.
I had to read it like 6 times.
Yeah.
Wasn't
I
having
only
a
read it
brain.
twice. Okay, good.
So- Yeah, and the man that came to look at it's been with him for like something crazy like 30 years, so. I think we'd be in good hands with them. And to answer Travis's question from last time, I reached back out to the Natural Resources, Department of Natural Resources about the Brownsfield. And that's first come, first served. So
But no reimbursement though.
no reimbursement. You know. So if we waited around on them. If we were lucky, it'd be an October, November timeframe. You know, they have several contractors, I suppose, that they work with, they'd send down here, et cetera, et cetera. And I just don't know if it's worth the risk. I don't like being frivolous with money, but I don't know, I think we're kind of in a spot where we have to do it, or we should do it.
Yeah, I
And you-
think,
And you said, oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
You said that the person, the company that got the bid for the HVAC, they've worked with EIS. Is that
Right,
correct?
yep.
Okay.
Yep. On other projects, so. And there, I mean. There's 144 penetrations gonna take place in this building. So if you do the math, that's $166 per penetration. You know, so if we're off and there's 2 or 3 or 4 more, that kind of gives you a dollar figure inside your head to work with that.
I just can't believe we're between 23,000 and 160,000. Yeah.
And I called ESA and I talked to Chris and. You
You didn't leave a
know,
one off or
I
anything.
asked him, I
Zero.
didn't mention the difference. I said, so this is a doable deal. Oh, yeah, yeah, you know. You know, because I asked about. Because through the Department of Natural Resources, there's a third layer. Where another firm comes in. The impression I got, another firm came in. See how good the abatement firm did. I asked him, he said, that's not required. He said, if you want to do it, you can do it, but that's not a requirement.
We're testing and monitoring the whole time.
All right, well, it, there's such a difference and, we're looking at a $2.7 million project here and to hold that up and run the risk of losing contractors and
Yeah.
subcontractors and having to reschedule the whole thing for winter. I mean, that's nuts. I mean, I think you're right. I think we need to do it now.
Yeah, it seems to me like it's probably wise to go ahead with that.
So would somebody like to make a motion to accept ESA's bid for 23,870?
So
Second,
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Who, do they take care of the disposal of it then too?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
included in this
Yeah.
price?
Yep, and they're in the contract is that they'll, dispose of it, according to the federal law, which is
Right.
pretty strict. So,
important part,
yep,
Mhm.
huge.
won't end up in John Volmer's. Oh, I shouldn't mention names probably, out of the way past.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
One other thing on that project, one of the things I was looking for was where there were, when I took my courthouse tour, was one of the main things that we'll have that are visual changes to the courthouse is the fire suppression system. That's gonna be probably the most visible thing that we've got. And I noticed there were, in one courthouse that I went to, they had recently put in, and I think this was Cottington. They'd recently put in a fire suppression system. It looked like sort of the same sort of designs that we have here. Do you remember that whether this is a wet system or a dry system?
It's wet.
It's a wet?
Mhm.
And the other part is that in those, they used all copper pipe where it's exposed.
Uh-huh.
And it's in keeping with probably our historical nature, because during the time that this place was built, there were a lot of copper piping used,
Uh-huh.
but it will be out in the open, and there'll be some mechanical joints here and there that'll necessarily be out in the open.
Uh-huh.
That'll be the main thing that we'll be looking at. I took a few pictures, so we'd have a chance to see what we'd be getting into with adding that fire suppression system. And I'll probably show a few of those pictures when I speak again on our project coming up.
I will double check, but I'm pretty sure it's spec that way here also. If it's exposed, it's copper, but I'll
Yeah.
double check that.
You can't the copper looked pretty good, the alternative would be black iron with mechanical joints.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of think, I think they had some CPVC in there, I think, in places, but when it was exposed, it was copper. I'll
Yeah,
double
there
check.
should
I'll
be.
call and ask.
There should be no CPVC.
Well, I
because-
might be using the wrong lingo there. Might
Yeah.
have the schedule 40 or whatever.
Because in the fire, that'll melt and
Yeah.
we won't get any water beyond. That's not a good idea.
Uh,
So,
but-
yes, I'd object if there were
Yeah,
any
you object.
CPVC.
Right.
so,
So, and I'd be happy to share those photos with anyone that wants to have a look too.
So I'll double check them to be sure, but I think that's the way it was spec when I read it
I think that's
somewhere in
so,
there.
yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So I'll move forward with this. I'll let Evan at L&L know where we're at. I think they're waiting on a signed contract. And then I think he wants to schedule a pre-construction meeting for the middle of this month. So, because the first thing is gonna be, if they can receive that signed contract. They can't really proceed and order equipment and stuff. We probably wait for that too before they come on site. Cause that's gonna be the first step to get them in here and mark. where all these are gonna be. And then step two will be how much clutter storage is in that area. You know, we gotta get that out. Can we leave it? Do we have to get it out? Do we have, you know, is there so much we're gonna have to move it off site, et cetera, et cetera. So we got some work ahead of us here before they start. So,
All right.
but as soon as I'll let Evan know where we're at and I'll let him know to get hold of me as soon as they get the contract, and then we'll get the ball moving on it. Anything else?
Then I think we just need to have a vote.
Oh,
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the ESA contract, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You got it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Scott. And Linnea.
Morning, guys.
Good morning.
Right, so just an update on how things are going. Had several applicants and did a few interviews and was able to have a candidate I offered the job to and they accepted. So Melissa Brown will be joining our office. And she is starting next week, Monday, on June 12th. So. with
Yeah,
this
she
kind of
had
a-
applied for,
Mhm.
yeah, and she had a great application, but you could just see she didn't. Yeah, so that's exciting.
We can't talk about that.
Oh, you're right.
Yep. Anyway, so we're excited to have her on board. It is kind of a goofy week since the rest of us will be going to conference. So just reminding you guys, Jean Lunn is going to come back and kind of help get her started on stuff, and so she's not in the basement by herself for her first week. And
Good
then
thinking.
the other small update I have for you, maybe not small, we did receive an OHE appeal. And that will be July 26th. Should be
Okay.
a one-day trip to Pier. So,
Right.
any questions for me?
Oh, good work. Yeah,
Thanks.
that was very efficient.
We got a lot to do. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much, Lydia.
Great. And, okay, so vouchers and payroll. There a motion to approve vouchers and payroll?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 2023-07 for USDA grant document signatures. So we're applying for a rural development grant to finance the Clay County Jail. And how much is that for? Do you remember?
250,000, isn't it?
It was a lot. I mean, it was a good sized grant.
It was a good size. I don't remember the amount for sure.
Okay. Okay.
Every time we talk to him, it keeps getting less.
Yeah.
So,
We better move quick.
yeah.
Yeah. Right. So is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is a motion and numerous seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So do we need to talk about, sounds like it would be better to talk about Fairview next week.
Yeah, we're just gonna have the meeting tomorrow night. so.
Yeah. Okay. Any building project updates?
Not really. They're still trying to figure out the budget or the bid product or. Still in discussions on what the building's gonna cost. So. We know where it has to be. We're not there yet.
Okay.
So we were supposed to have one meeting about it last week. We're supposed to have a meeting this afternoon. We keeps getting pushed off. So the consultant is doing a lot of the legwork right now.
Did we ever agree on a land price?
Nope, that's my next step after this meeting.
All right.
I had a conference call last Friday while I was on vacation, with the bonding company and Moody's. And we're working through, we were at a AA2 rating, I believe, for AA3, I think. And so that was good. That's what Colliers expected us to get. And moving forward. So we're getting closer to being able to sell the bonds.
Great. All right. And let's see, joint jurisdiction, I guess Monday night, we've moved the meeting to, is that right? Carrie, is it this next Monday or the Monday
I
after?
believe it's gonna be the Tuesday after possibly, because the Monday is a holiday.
Oh,
So
So,
2 weeks from today, so that'd be their next, that'd be the next city council meeting.
20th.
yeah,
20th.
anything else? Executive session or? Well, so let's take a minute to welcome Mike Smith. No relation. Yeah. And we're delighted to have you with us. Yeah.
And there's likely to be times where we're running off the edge of the cliff. And
Pipe up.
at least, at least as far as I'm concerned, you'll never hurt my feelings by grabbing me by the collar and not allowing me to step over, okay?
Understood.
Yeah.
Alexis had a certain way that she would start shuffling around and looking like she was gonna get up over there that would catch her attention.
We would,
so.
I'd often, when I was wondering about it, I'd take a look at Alexis that sat in that chair over there.
Which is
And
completely off camera.
Yep.
I just look over and she'd go. Or she'd go like, you know,
Or sometimes just.
Yeah, something like that, yeah, little squint,
Yeah.
sometimes, I think that's where you're gonna earn your salary most right there. Yes, thank you.
Yep. Well, I'm excited that you're going to the Indigent Legal Services hearing listening session. I'm gonna head over there as soon as we get out here too. So did you have a chance to meet with some other people in the office and look over some of the ways that those services stress our budget?
I haven't yet, so it'll be good to go get that, and then I know I wanna speak with you, it sounds like you've kind of been the lead as far as from the commission.
Oh, only in the sense that I popped my head in last week and was like, hey, Samantha, I bet you know a lot more about this than I do, but I'm pretty sure it's a serious problem. Would you please pull what you can? So, yep.
Absolutely, you know, it's, democracy doesn't work unless you have services available for everyone, and there's, you know, this absolutely great concept of what they're trying to establish and make sure is being cared for appropriately. And everyone needs counsel, adequate counsel, otherwise, you know, there's no sense in having a democracy if we're able to walk all over those who can't take care of themselves and protect themselves. So I'm really interested to kind of see where they're going with it and how we as a community can participate in that as well.
Fantastic.
Great. All right. If there's no further business, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Oh.